Hey everyone, welcome back to another LJT MTG video. Today I'm playing Black-Red Midrange, the deck you see before you, against my buddy Jordan playing Jeskai. I'll do a quick deck tech through the Black-Red Midrange deck. It's a pretty standard midrange deck, but we're playing two colors, so we're playing moons, got Magus of the Moon, Blood Moon. That's the biggest draw into two colors. The other draw into two colors is that you can play some more pip dense cards and get away with it. So we get to play cards like Dothy Voidwalker and Hymn to Torak relatively easily. And I think we're not losing too much in terms of card quality for doing so. You get a really good removal suite playing red and black cards. Not the best at exiling things, but otherwise you're very good at removing all different kinds of threats. You get some pretty versatile removal like Molten Collapse, Bedevil, Abrade, things that are good at dealing with multiple different permanent types. One of the sort of sub-themes of the deck is like Delirium graveyard usage. We have a lot of looters and blood token type cards. We have Blood Tithe Harvester. Cards like Croxa that get a lot of use out of the graveyard, Detective's Phoenix, some actual Delirium cards like Demonic Council and Fear of Missing Out. Chaos Defiler sort of pulls double duty. It's two creature types for Delirium and is also a secret demon in case you need to cast Demonic Council without Delirium active. It's not a fully dead card. It tutors for a pretty big haymaker, and by the time you're casting Demonic Console without Delirium, it's probably pretty late in the game anyways. So getting sort of the biggest, baddest threat in our deck is a pretty good fail case. In terms of points, we're using it almost all exclusively on fast mana. We got Mox Ruby, Mox Jet, Soul Ring, and then the last point is Reanimate, once again tying back into the sort of graveyardy theme. We're playing both land cyclers just to sort of up our chances of cheesing somebody out with Animate Dead or Reanimate to get them back. We got the typical hand attack package of Duress, Inquisition, Thoughtseize. I'm not the biggest fan of Dread Fugue. I think there's a lot of 3-mana cards that you'd look at your opponent's hand and really want to take those. Like the biggest one I can think of right now is Tinker, but there's also cards like Barrowgoyf that you just really don't want your opponent to have, and I think Dread Fugue is a little too limiting too often. One card I've been really impressed with so far is Faithless Looting. I think the selection it gives you, and this deck in particular, the ability to utilize the graveyard, it's been really impressive for me, turning on Delirium, activating cards like Animate Dead, Reanimate. It's been really good. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Canadian Highlander video. I am Jer, and I'm playing against my buddy Jordan. Black-Red versus Jeskai. Yeah, hope it'll be some good games. Got a tricky mulligan decision here. We have a bunch of threats, some lands. Our draw isn't especially explosive, but I think maybe we just have enough and good enough threats that this is worth keeping. We get our Raucous Theater on one. Carnage Interpreter might be slightly awkward, but so if he's binning Unholy Heat, he likely has some other creature removal. Chain Lightning's kind of nice. Notably, he's on no recall. Jeskai, he has a couple of Moxes in his deck. So yeah, let's get the theater. Barrowgoyf. I think we want that one. A little awkward in that this Emperor of Bones is sort of acting counter to our Barrowgoyf, but I think it's pretty likely this buddy isn't long for this world. We're still just going to remove this Unholy Heat from his graveyard. Shrink Zargoyf, but removing the card from his graveyard is good. He has things like Snapcaster Mage, Delve Spells, Abhorrent Oculus, so definitely playing against a deck where the graveyard is a resource. 3 mana. And just passing. So we kind of want to think about what we're going to do on our turn, because we can just pass back with threat of Emperor of Bones activation. We can also just jam Graveyard Trespasser. And eating away at his graveyard is pretty good here. Just remove something like Abhorrent Oculus as a threat altogether. Chip in. I think we do want to play something, but I'm not sure what. Like, it's either got to be Barrowgoyf or Graveyard. It's basically got to be Graveyard Trespasser. I'm not playing a 1-2. Barrowgoyf, not interested in that getting bolted. It's either that or just leave up Emperor of Bones to become a 4-4, but I think Graveyard Trespasser is worthwhile to get some more pressure down, and then if this resolves, we can kind of sit behind this, but okay. Exiled is a bit annoying, but at least we get to force him to do something. Don't let him progress his board. And swords for Emperor. Okay. That's pretty good for us. Happy with that. Ooh. No land, it looks like. Alright, that's also good for us. A hand attack spell would be really nice here. Sort of give us a good read on what's going on and what he has in hand. Land is not the worst either. Let's just get access to Chaos Defiler next turn. I'm sort of considering going Chain Lightning, then Barrowgoyf, just to make Barrowgoyf a 3-4 so it can't get bolted. But if he had Bolt, he would have bolted the Emperor of Bones for sure. And Chain Lightning doesn't kill Barrowgoyf right now. Odds are he just has a counterspell, but we gotta keep jamming. And Carnage, we kind of want Carnage Interpreter to be our last threat. Yeah, so my read is Jordan doesn't have Bolt, because he probably would have bolted either one of our cards here. Snapcaster Swords, that's fine. Just gotta run them out. Next turn we just get to slam jam this Chaos Defiler, blow up the Snapcaster. Alright, that was a good draw for him. Untapped land and second blue. It's probably a pretty good chance we're running Chaos Defiler into a counterspell here, but I'm not too worried about that. Could also go... I think I'm going to save Duress for next turn. think I'm fine just jamming Chaos Defiler, and if it resolves, I'm happy. If it doesn't resolve, I'm not exactly upset. Obviously would rather it resolved, but sets us up for a pretty good next turn of Duress, Carnage Interpreter, and Chain Lightning if we need it. Okay, nice. Get him out of here. Wandering Emperor, okay. Our boy has Trample, which is pretty nice. And we're going to be able to Chain Lightning down this Wandering Emperor, which makes our next turn even better. Yeah, I kind of like our spot. If we draw, hopefully we don't draw anything like that sort of alters our Carnage Interpreter plan. I like that plan right now. Prismatic Ending. So this is getting marched. Okay, that's fine. Nice X removal spells. So we're gonna take 2. If he has Force, we get around that too with our Duress. So it's basically nothing he can have that stops us with our game plan next turn. Nice. Land was actually a pretty good draw there. Doesn't alter our plan at all. Yeah, Brain Surge, Force of Will. You can keep the Force of Will. Chain Lightning, that a 1. Carnage Interpreter. You better draw a good one. Well, he has Force of Will online, but I'm not too fussed about that, honestly. Harvester seems like a good one. Yeah, let's smush. This is a very fast clock. So I could just hardcast Harvester, force the Force of Will. Don't let him get a Surveil land. I kind of like that. Like, he has to force this. There's no world he can't. Remove the card selection that he has available. Run him fully out of cards. We still have these 4 clues. Yep. He's top decking. We're top decking plus basically however many we want. Ragavan's a decent draw, but he needs to hit. All right. What does he hit? Graven Cairns. All right. Not worried about that. Cleared the top of our deck for us. Vista, not what we want. Clue or Swamp, also not what we want. Because this has Menace, it's really effective in a race here. Not too upset we get Ragavand again, I am going to crack another clue, though. Troll is annoying. Not an ideal draw. I guess I'm just supposed to draw again. Alright, that was a good one. And that was exactly why we were supposed to draw right then. Moving Ragavan makes this a lot harder for him, just gives him way fewer outs. Yeah, another land. So he's a forced block with both of his creatures next turn. Alright, we've got to play out the troll pre-combat. To get our Carnage Interpreter online. And then he has to double block. He's going to be no cards in hand. We have 2 lethal creatures, so it's kind of like Terminus or bust here. He doesn't have enough mana to Wrath Disguise our troll away. And we have access to a clue as well if it's needed. So I have to imagine almost every card in his deck is going into the bin. Yeah, Mock's definitely going to the bin. I think it's basically everything except Terminus. That's not a Terminus because it went straight to main phase. Six, 7. Is it 4th? No. The tap concede.
Oof's what I have to say.
Yeah, I was able to set that one up pretty well.
Definitely. I mean, you had some bangers, and being a little tight on mana was tough. Was tough at the beginning, and that's one of the upsides of Rakdos is it's banger after banger.
Yeah, I was setting up that Duress Chain Lightning Carnage Interpreter turn for quite a while, but I didn't have a juicy Chain Lightning target. But then you presented a nice one for me, so thanks for that.
Anytime, man. Ready for round 2?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
All right, game 2 on the draw again, but as we showed last game, we can do some stuff on the draw. I think this hand's good enough. You don't want an abundance of removal spells in this matchup, but both of these are pretty versatile. They'll have targets eventually. Hopefully this Raucous Theater can help us find a second black. 2 hand attack spells is really nice, and then a pretty banger threat in Pyrogoyf. If one of these removal spells was a cheaper threat, like a 2 or 3 mana play, this hand would be pretty much ideal, but it's got enough going for it that we're going to keep, especially with Jordan on a Malta 6. If you have hand attack in your opener and your opponent mulligans, that's generally pretty good for you. That's interesting. So we have a choice to go turn 1 Inquisition, which I think I'm going to do to get it under counter spells to see, because I don't think I would jam, like if I played Raucous Theater and then all else being equal, I had access to him. On turn 2, I don't think I would him turn 2 in the dark. I kind of want this to resolve against this mulligan, so we're gonna see what's going on. Yeah, this is pretty good for us. So I think we just want to take the Oculus to try to remove the blue card for Force of Will. It's also just, we're not going to end this game especially quickly, so I think just removing the Oculus is what we want to do. If we had access, like if that was a Thoughtseize, I think I might take the Force of Will based on our hand. Just make sure our spells resolve, but because we have the 2 removal spells, both of which hit Comet and Oculus, so I'm not especially worried there. If we draw a black source here, that would be really good. Getting to him without him getting access to too many more draw steps would be really nice. But overall, we're in pretty good shape. Not a lot we're worried about. He needs to draw both lands and spells, basically. Okay, so he's repping that he drew basically counterspell. Do we just jam? I think we do. If he drew counterspell, he drew counterspell. If he didn't, he's in trouble. No fear. He's paying costs. Hopefully he's forcing this. That's kind of the same thing. Ooh, he's brainstorming. Okay. So he's pretty likely to keep Force of Will in his hand, because my guess is he's not going to want to. Hopefully he keeps Force in hand and we don't hit it, because he's sort of too low resources to hit to Force of Will against us currently. He's in a tight spot. He's basically low resources no matter what, unless he hits Spell Pierce or Spell Snare. Discards a Johnny and Galvanic Discharge. Okay. I think we're looking good again. So next turn we want to play our Raucous Theater to make sure we can Pyroglyph on 4. Because he needed to see lands there too. Yeah, he's given the oofs. But that's sort of what this deck does. It forces you to make some tough choices. Harvester is not ideal, but yeah, Scarlet's a banger. Definitely not in the business of putting that one in the bin here. So he has both Comet and Force of Will in hand, and then a random card we don't know about. So I think we play Scarlet just to try to get that going. If he doesn't have a blue card, Scarlet's just going to run away with this game. If he does have a blue card, okay, he has a blue card. That's fine. Comet's his last card. If he draws lands, as long as he doesn't hit the chain of 6s of a lifetime, we can remove it with either Bloodchief's Thirst, Bedevil, or Pyroglyph, depending on the rolls. I mean, hopefully, technically Comet can just kill in one turn if you're incredibly lucky, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But other than that, we're in very good shape. We have 4 relevant cards, and he's now hellbent, so rolls a 2. Okay, that's fine. We'll take a couple hits from these squirrels, but we can untap, and I think we'll Bloodchief's Thirst just to be more mana efficient. It's also a sorcery. It's using our whole turn regardless, so I think that's where we want to be. Got another decent follow-up here. You saying a dog and a dream, and alas, no dog, no dream, only squirrel. And if we draw a land, those squirrels aren't long for this world either. He gets to see the bad news that our hand is very good. He probably has sequences of cards that get him back into the game, but that also relies on us drawing pretty miserably for the rest of the game, I think. This deck is pretty good at not losing to a couple of 1/1s. All right, Harvester resolved. That's nice. Yeah, you get to skaboosh with our hasty 5/4 menace. We actually have lethal this turn because we have hit for 5 Pyroglyph upstairs. So we will attack. Yeah, ball game. Yeah, that was some oof-inducing magic for sure.
Rakdos was doing Rakdos things. You had like not a stellar draw, but the cards you put in your deck did exactly what they're supposed to.
Yep.
And I had a reasonable 6 that if I had got to keep my resources, might have gotten there against a clunkier draw like the one you had, but because of your disruption, you set up such that you had card advantage and all these bangers that that were able to take over the game. I had to basically like top deck that land to play the Comet in such a way that I had a chance to win, but it was tough that the him took the 2 cards I think I wanted to keep in my hand the most while protecting the land drop that I drew. Like, Hymn to Torok is such a powerful card. I had to top that land, which might have otherwise been safe. It would have otherwise been safe against your other discard spells.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, him especially in combination with other discard is so potent.
Yeah, and because you're only playing a 2-color deck, him is almost always you'll be able to cast him almost whenever you want to.
Yeah, it's a good one for sure, but yeah, it has a pretty steep deck building cost, so it doesn't get played nearly as much as it used to in our format. But yeah, when you can play it, it can definitely swing games as we saw there.